Hi guys, I'm going to have a short video on how to install a package of bees. I understand there's a lot of videos out there already, and I don't claim to know more than other people know, but I do it a little bit differently, and I just wanted to show you how I do it. Okay, these are Apimay hives. I just bought 8 of these. They're all plastic. That's spelled Apimay, I think. A friend of mine in Seminole, Texas showed me these, and I really like them. One reason is because the summers here, and I'm south of Pecos, Texas. I farm south of Pecos, and the summers here are so hot during July and August. So the bees have to spend a lot of energy and time trying to cool the hive. But these plastic hives look to me like it would be like living inside of an ice chest. So I think it's going to be a lot easier to keep them cool in the summer and warm in the winter. I'll let you know how that goes. I just don't know yet, but we'll see. So what I've done is I've got the bottom box in the bottom, and I've got frames in here. As you can see, 2 of the frames are actually drawn comb. They were from another hive. So that when I put these bees in here, I think the drawn comb is going to help in a couple of ways. One is it's going to feel more like home to them, and then secondly, it's going to make it a lot faster for the queen to start laying eggs. In the corner here, I've got a quart-size Ziploc freezer bag that I fill full of sugar water. When I say sugar water, it's half water, half sugar. And you fill it up, you seal it, and then you just use a little X-Acto knife and make 3 or 4 little slits in it. You would think it would just fall out everywhere, but it doesn't. It works really well. Okay, what I'm going to do is start taking the queen out of here. I'm going to spray the bees with a little bit of sugar water. I don't want to drown them. It just kind of gives them something to do, clean themselves off, so to speak. And then I'm going to take the queen out. What do I do with my, oh, there it is, my screwdriver. Sometimes it's difficult to get this can out as ever. Oh, there goes the queen. Hang on. Go ahead and just hold that right there. Lucy's videoing and holding the queen strap at the same time. Okay, and as I bring this out, I'm going to spray them a little bit to keep them from coming on out, from flying out. Shake off the feeder a little bit. They like that sugar water. Okay, and now normally this queen, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me just get them in here and then I'll talk about it. But I'm going to shake the bees off the queen. I'm going to inspect her to make sure she looks good, and she does. She's there. She's marked queen with a kind of a bluish green dot. Instead of, I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Instead of hanging her down between the frames, I'm actually going to have her setting on top here with the screen facing up. I'll use a little pin there to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Let me get these installed first, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this. All right, I'm going to put these in here. I'm not going to shake them. I'm just going to set them in the hive. I'm going to cut some of this screen out of the way. They can come out the hole, but I'm going to cut a little bit of this too so they have some more opening. Going to bend those back so they can get out, and then I'm going to cover it up. All right, the difference is, if you noticed, is I did not pull the corks out of the queen cage. And let me tell you why. You know, normally you pull the cork on the end of the queen cage that has the candy plug, and the bees, over a period of time, will eat that candy plug out and let the queen out. But what I've seen is it just varies so much. I've seen I've seen queens that the candy plug would be eaten out in one day, and I've seen them where it would take 5 or 6 days to eat that plug away. So to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to leave that queen in there for 3 days. Both corks in both ends, she's going to stay there for 3 days. I make sure the screen is up so that the other bees, the worker bees or nurse bees, can take care of her and feed her. But she's going to stay there for 3 days. And then at the end of 3 days, I'm going to come out and take the cork out, and I'm going to set the queen cage down on the frames, and watch it works as I've done it before, and watch that queen come out of the queen cage, and she'll just dive off into those frames. It works every time. And so in 3 days, you may wonder why I came up with 3 days. To me, that sounded like enough time to make sure that the bees have accepted their new queen. And the way I remember it is, Jesus rose again on the third day, so I just remember 3 days. And so anyway, okay, let's do, I was going to tell you another thing. Okay, I've been told, and actually this happened to me last year. I had 2 hives that I put packages in side by side, just like these 2 hives, but they were wooden hives. And I did it the standard method. I shook the bees out, did all that kind of stuff, hung the queen down in between the frames. And then a couple of days later, I just couldn't stand it. I just had to come check on them. And I took the lid off of one hive, and I looked down in it, and there was probably 50 bees in there. The bees were not there. So I put the lid back on, and I went to the next hive, the one next to it, and I took the lid off, and they were all inside there. They had all left the one hive and all went to the other hive. So what I'm going to do, and this is, nobody ever does this, is when I put these bees in this hive, I'm going to seal this hive off. It's getting late. The sun's going to go down here in a minute, and I'm going to let these bees stay in this hive for probably until about 10 o'clock in the morning. So that would be over 12 hours, probably 14 hours, 15 hours. These epimays are vented. There's vent holes in here, so there's no way they're going to suffocate. They're getting air. And I believe that by keeping those bees in there for that length of time, they're going to know, they're going to stick around. They're not going to want to go somewhere else. We'll see. In 3 days, I'll come out and video it again, and when I let the queen out, and we'll look and see if I'm right. But if you think about it, I just got 8 packages of bees, and they were shipped side by side together on this trip from the coast of Texas, from Navasota, Texas. So, in my way of thinking, the pheromones of a queen are extremely strong. I mean, I can tell you stories about that, but the pheromones are really, really strong. So these packages of bees are actually smelling, I believe, several queens while they're traveling. So if I don't, in my mind, if I seal the hive off and let those bees become accustomed to that queen for say 12 to 15 hours, then there's no doubt in my mind when I open this hive up tomorrow, they're going to come right back here. The other thing I'm doing, Lucy, come around this way. One of the hives, if you'll notice, I put a piece of West Texas tumbleweed in front of it. So tomorrow, when I open these doors and open the entrances and let the bees out, and you'll notice I didn't put it in front of this one. When I open the doors, and I've seen videos on this, and I'm sure you have too, when I open the doors and these bees leave this hive and make their first flight out of this hive, and they're going to come outside and circle around and figure out where they are, and they're going to see that piece of tumbleweed. I think this is going to work. And they're going to come back to this hive instead of coming over to this hive. And this hive does not have a piece of tumbleweed on it. It's just a way to differentiate for the bees to figure out which hive they want to go to. Sounds kind of simplistic, but in the videos I've watched, it seems to work. So we'll try it and see. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to tell you for now. And in 3 days, I'll come back and we'll open them up, and I'll take the shipping package out. I'll take the queen, or actually I'll release the queens into the hive, I'll replace the sugar water with another baggie of water, sugar water, and then I'm gonna take this box, the empty box, off and just put the lid down on it, and it will be a single box, single deep. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in 3 days. Got it? Killed? That sounds too nervous.